Today we are literally going to hack this Ikea Solonostomo. Mimsy here. I teach budget-minded people how to beautify and improve your homes with home decor, sewing, upholstery, and DIY. So let's get started on this Ikea hack. So I've been super digging these striped fabrics lately. I was at an event recently and saw these striped pillows with ruffle. Not the stripes like this. This is a ticking stripe. Although I do like this fabric, this is not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is just straight up, what do you call this kind of a stripe? There's a name for this kind of a stripe and I can't remember what it is. Ideally, I wanted stripes that were about 1 inch wide. I haven't found the fabric yet, but I was at Ikea recently and I saw this adorable fabric and fell in love with it. I did not buy it on my first go round and left it there. Ended up having to go back a couple days later and get it because I couldn't get the fabric off my mind. This is in fact a twin sheet set and then a pillowcase in here. First of all, I think I need to wash this. Pretty messy in here. Here we go. I've got my fabric washed. Since this is a duvet cover, I'm gonna take it apart. I'm gonna cut just one layer of fabric at a time on this or one side of the pillow at a time, because on the front of the pillow, I'm gonna do the stripes on a diagonal. And then on the back of the pillow, or front or back, whichever. But one side I'm gonna do diagonal stripe, and the other side I'm gonna do straight up and down stripe. And to make this very easy on myself, I'm gonna use my tapered corner pillow template. It's a tapered corner pillow template and it's clear like this so that you can move it around on your fabric, and then it has all of these lines that mark the sizes. So it goes from 11 inch all the way up to a 30-inch pillow, and it has these little cutouts here where you can mark your fabric, and it makes making a pillow super duper easy. I have a link for this in the description box below, and it's for making a tapered corner pillow so you don't have dog-eared pillows. If you want to know what a dog-eared pillow is, you can watch that video right here. The really nice thing about this pillow template is you can move it around in order to determine how you want your pattern to fall on your pillow. Like this center here, I can center these 3 stripes in the middle of my pillow, which makes it really, really nice. So I have 20 by 20 inch pillow fillers, so I'm gonna cut my pillow 19 inches. It does say that this allows for a 1/2 inch seam allowance, but I still find that it's a little bit too big. So I'm gonna take this down to the 19 inch mark here, and the 19 inch mark here, and see where the stripes line up. So that works. I'll have these 2 stripes right in the center. Okay, and then you just mark the little notches out following the 19 inch line here. Now we're back to the beginning. All right, and then you can take your ruler and draw a line between your marks. I actually don't do that. I'll just cut it out. Okay, so there's one side of our pillow. Let's do the diagonal side. Also, the beauty of this template. Now I can turn this template diagonal on my fabric, and I can line up the corner of the template directly on this stripe so that I know for sure that my stripes are actually on the diagonal. And same thing here, just mark out your corners. There we go. Cut out so when you're cutting on the diagonal like this, there's definitely going to be a lot more wasted fabric, clearly, because you have the corners that are not unused. So that's something to think about. If you're using a very expensive fabric, you may not want to do the diagonal. Okay. And there's the diagonal. Next up is the ruffle. With your ruffle, you want to have 2 times gathers on your ruffle. So we've basically got a 20 by 20 pillow here. So that means 20, 40, 60, 80 inches. So we're gonna need 160 inches essentially of ruffle. And I guess if you wanted to, you could potentially do your ruffle all one color, like fold it in half like that. So one side of your ruffle is pink, the other side is orange. That's not really the look I want, but I'm trying to decide if I want my ruffle to be striped this way or if I want to make this on the bias and have my ruffle also be on the diagonal. Of course, the bias is going to take up more fabric, but it will be awfully cute. So maybe I will do it on the bias. I'm going to try to get as long as possible strips out of this so I don't have as many seams. There we go. So you can see how wide this piece of diagonal fabric is. So that would be hard to cut. So I'm going to fold the whole thing in half. This way I can manage it easier and I can use my ruler. Because the fabric is thin, it won't be difficult to cut through 4 layers of this. What I need is 6 inches because I'm going to self-line my ruffle. I want my ruffle to be 3 inches tall, so I'm going to fold it over on itself to make it self-lined and have so I need to cut 6 inches. So this first strip, I'm cutting it 3 inches because it's folded. There's my first strip, 6 inches. Okay, so I said I needed 120, 40, 60, 80, 160 inches. So that should do it. All right, so let's take this to the sewing machine and sew these together. Okay, so we're gonna line up our strips. We're gonna sew them together just the same way that you would do welt. You don't necessarily have to do it this way. You could just butt join squares together, but it's gonna be better this way because then your stripes will line up and you won't have a lot of bulk. Fold it in half and press the whole thing. Okay, so I'm switching to a voiceover here because my mother-in-law is sewing right now. So this is my little hack for sewing ruffles, and I only use this hack when I'm sewing a really, really long ruffle, and it can only be used with a lightweight fabric. It doesn't really work on a heavyweight fabric, and that is you hold the top thread between your fingers in order to create tension on the thread. So you're holding it so that it'll not go through your top mechanism so quickly, and that creates tension, and what that does is it automatically ruffles your fabric. You can see it coming out of the back of my presser foot, and it's automatically ruffled, and it works brilliantly. But you have to be careful and not hold the thread too tight, because if you hold it too tight, then your thread will break, and then you'll lose your ruffles. So there's a little bit of finesse to it, so you just have to practice at it, but it's a really good trick for ruffling lightweight fabric fast. You see how beautifully ruffled it is? It's quick and easy, but it takes a little finesse, so you got to practice at it a little bit, try it out for yourself on some scraps, and see if you can get the hang of it. Otherwise, there are other ways to ruffle fabric. All right, so I'm prepping the ruffle to pin it to the front of the pillow. So I'm just organizing the ruffles and straightening them out so that I can start the pinning process. So you want to just pin the ruffle on with the raw edge to the raw edge of the pillow. Okay, and what I'm doing here is joining the 2 ends of my ruffle. So I'm essentially going to make a loop out of the ruffle so that I can sew it to the pillow. And I'm just opening up my raw ends. I'm going to pin it together right side to right side and then sew that together. So I essentially have a big loop the size of the pillow, so 80 inches, 20, 40, 60, 80 inches around. Now I'm just pinning the ruffle to the pillow. Just line up your raw edges and pin it on. And a little bit closer view so you can see exactly how I'm doing that and how neatly and close to the edge I'm pinning those ruffles. And I made my ruffle loop slightly longer than the whole circumference of the pillow, and you can either just like finagle those ruffles closer together, a tighter ruffle, but what I did is I overlapped them a bit. Okay, one big pointer when you're doing ruffles, the corners need to have more gathering than any other spot. If you get your corner with not much gathering, you're going to have a flat, kind of a cupped corner. Your fabric will cup in the corner. And here's our top piece, and we're going to set that on top of here. One side, here's the other. We're gonna put the zipper in. Let's make this the bottom. We'll put the zipper in the bottom. I'm just gonna fold that top half. We're gonna lay our zipper on here. I like to make my zipper a little bit longer than the pillow, but it doesn't have to be. It can definitely be shorter. The pull is on this side, so we're laying it with the pull down. Pull face down. And I'm going to fasten this end to this end of the pillow. So you see that? The pull is facing down, and I'm going to pin this in place because this is going to be my first side. So that's how that'll be, like that. That's how the zipper will be. And then this side will go like this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sew this side on, and then we'll open up the zipper and sew that side on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pin the whole pillow together, and then I'll pin the zipper on. And then when we sew this, we're going to sew this a ½ inch in so that we can make sure that we're on the inside of this stitch line here so that those stitches are not showing. If they do show, if they poke out here and there, it doesn't matter. You can just clip them out. And we're back to the zipper. So now we're going to pick up this piece of fabric and we're going to pin it to the zipper. That's the right side, obviously. And grab a hold of that. Line up the edge of the fabric with the edge of the zipper. Okay, now we're going to sew that. Flip this over, and I'm going to make this easy on myself, and I'm going to unzip this. So now this is all unzipped, and I can just go ahead and sew down next to my zipper teeth. And this is one of the reasons why I like to make my zipper longer than my pillow, because then I can unzip it all the way and I don't have to try to work around the zipper pull. Now, you can zip the pillow back closed partially. You have to leave enough open that you can get your hand in there in order to turn the pillow around. Now I'm going to flip it back over and I can see my pins. And I'm going to start sewing on this corner here right next to my zipper. So I'm going to start sewing right behind the zipper. So this is the zipper, it's closed. And I'm going to sew in about 1 inch behind it to this corner and then turn this corner. But that little bit of sewing, this 1 inch behind the zipper, will close that zipper, or will hide the end of the zipper. Right behind the zipper, I pulled it real tight. I've got to change my needle position to the very right. I like to sometimes back stitch at my corners. I'm going to lift up my foot and turn this corner. And then basically sew all the way around the pillow until we get to the other side. So we're approaching the zipper again here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push those teeth out of the way. Drop the needle. Lift my foot, rotate it. And I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other end. Drop that foot. I'm right here behind my zipper. Push that out of the way. And I'm going to sew in about 1 inch right behind the zipper. Okay. Now, let me take out all these pins and I'll show you what this looks like. Pushing out my corners. Okay. Okay, so you see that? So we sewed behind that zipper. Now that those teeth are kind of hidden in there, and same thing here. All right, let's stuff it. So there's a little spot here where some of those gathering stitches peeked out, so that's an easy fix. Grab your seam ripper and pull those out. So there it is. If you want to get your hands on that pillow template that I used, I do have a link for that. This one. You can click on that link in the description box below. It makes pillow making super easy.